being perceptual. What is perceptuality of knowledge according to Advaita? Perceptuality of knowledge consists in the pramana chaitanya or the consciousness conditioned by the mental state becoming identical with the consciousness conditioned by the object. So this happens whenever the sense organ is in direct contact with any object. This process takes place and there is the mind should be attentive, only then the mind will go out through the sense organ and all this process will take place. So there is the non-difference or identity of the pure of the pramana chaitanya and the vishaya chaitanya. Now incidentally what happens is, it is not that knowledge alone becomes perceptual. If knowledge becomes perceptual, that means you have the cognition of part. If you have the cognition of part, then what does it imply? That means what is the content of the cognition? Part is the content of the cognition. So you have the knowledge of, you have the perceptuality of object 2. What is the object here? The object here is part. Now, although practically speaking, if the mind has come to the place where the object is located, it means the consciousness conditioned by the mind, which is nothing but the knower or the pramata or the jiva chaitanya, since it has reached the place where the object is located, that means the pramana chaitanya, the pramatra chaitanya, the vishaya chaitanya, all these three are located in one and the same place. But yet we make a distinction in this way. What constitutes perceptuality of knowledge is the identity of the pramana chaitanya and vishaya chaitanya, and what accounts for the perceptuality of object is pramatra chaitanya vishaya chaitanya yoho abhedaha. So the consciousness conditioned by the mind, that means the jiva chaitanya or the knower, the individual soul, has the cognition, he also has the perceptual knowledge of perceptuality of object, both the object as well as knowledge. That means you not only perceive the object, you also have the knowledge of the object. So this is what is meant by perceptuality of knowledge as well as perceptuality of object. Now what happens in the case of perceptuality of object? What do they say? That is, in the case of perceptuality of objects, there is pramatra abhedaha. Pramatra abhedaha means the consciousness conditioned by the mind, consciousness conditioned by the object, it should become identical with the pramata. Pramata is the knower or the jiva chaitanya or the individual soul. Now what does it mean? What does pramatra abheda mean? For that the Advaitins say, pramatra abhedo nama natavad aikyam. It is not, strictly speaking, it is not aikya or identity. Then what? They say, so long this vishaya chaitanya, there is the part conditioned consciousness, isn't it? Now, according to the basic position of Advaita, every object is superimposed upon the consciousness conditioned by it. This is our basic position. We should not forget it. Now, and the object, all the objects derive sustenance and manifestation from the underlying reality. Otherwise, part will never come within the range of cognition as part exists, part manifests. So it is the underlying reality that is the life-giving principle for the insentient objects of the world. So that is our thesis. Now, this part conditioned consciousness is the life-giving principle for part so far. Now that the pramatra chaitanya or the individual soul has reached the place where the object is located, then no longer this part conditioned consciousness will maintain its identity, because it has become one with the pramatra chaitanya. That means the part will derive its sustenance and manifestation from the pramatra chaitanya, because pramatra chaitanya and vishaya chaitanya, they have become identical. There is no more distinction between vishaya chaitanya and pramatra chaitanya. In other words, pramatra satta, whatever is the satta for the pramatra chaitanya, that is the satta for part also. No more it will depend upon the part conditioned consciousness, because all this is, so long there is the mental state in the form of part. Once it ceases to exist, Spot will have underlying consciousness, spot conditioned consciousness, that is different. Now we are in the realm of understanding perceptuality of knowledge and object. So what happens is there is Pramatra Bheda, which means the Pramatra Chaitanya has become identical with the Vishaya Chaitanya. So this accounts for perceptuality of object too. Now what I want you to understand is, in all cases of immediate perceptual knowledge, what happens is both knowledge as well as object, both of them become perceptual. But take the case of fire in a mountain. What happens? You see smoke in the mountain. Immediately you recollect the invariable relation of smoke to fire, which is called Vyapti Jnana, and there arises what is known as Paramarsha, and then there arises Parvato Vanniman, this Anumiti arises. Now in this case, the sense organ is not in direct contact with fire. There is no direct contact with fire element. You only perceive the smoke. But yet what happens? On seeing smoke, there is, you recollect the invariable relation, there is Vyapti Jnana. Now this Vyapti Jnana gives rise to Paramarsha. Whether the Advaitins admit Paramarsha or not, all those we will see a little later. And then there arises Anumiti. Now what happens? In this case, there is Vyapti. What is the form of Vyapti Jnana? Wherever there is fire, there is smoke. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Now you perceive only the smoke. Now on the basis of the perceptual cognition of smoke, you infer the existence of fire there. You do not perceive fire directly. But yet, what is the resultant cognition you arrive at is mountain is fiery. Parvato Vanniman. Our mountain has fire. So you have there is, what happens is, there is an internal mental state which takes place internally. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire, and there arises the Paramarsha, and from that there arises Parvato Vanniman. So you have the cognition of fire in the mountain, you know, or you have inferred the existence of fire in the mountain. That means you have the knowledge of fire in the mountain. But please bear in mind, there is no direct perceptual cognition of the object as such. Because if you perceive fire, then it ceases to be inferential cognition. As a matter of fact, all cases of inferential cognition means what is inferred. The very meaning of inference means it is not in direct contact. That is why we call inference as mediate knowledge or Paroksha Jnana. So now, Sakshat Karomi Ityanubhava means, what is meant by Sakshatkara? That which is directly perceived. Sakshat Karomi Aham Shabdam Shrotrena. I perceive the sound. I have the auditory perception of sound. Sakshat Karomi Aham Shabdam Shrotrena iti vibhavyate. And that is called Pratyaksha Pramiti. Satu Shrotram Tat Karanam Matam. Now, what is considered to be the Karana or Pramana for the Pratyaksha Pramiti? All the sense organs which give rise to the mental state. Strictly speaking, Swamiji was asking me, what is the Karana for the Advaitins? The mental state which is formed by the interaction of the sense organs. It is the mental state that removes the Tula Jnana. Strictly speaking, that has to be termed Karana. But yet, since that mental state arises by the interaction of the sense organs are also metaphorically termed Karana. That is what he says, Tvacha Sparsham Sakshat Karomi iti. Respective sense organs. Tvacha Sparsham Sakshat Karomi iti. Chakshusha Rupam. I perceive color with my sense of sight. Rasanena Rasam. I perceive, see, everything is perception. I perceive taste with my sense of taste. Granena Gandham iti. Karana Vishaya Vyatiriktaha. Sayeva Artha Abhade Pratyaksha Prama. There is one more class there. So you may have the Sakshatkara or immediate perceptual knowledge of the respective object, but they should not be sublated at a later date. That is, he is very serious about it. Sayeva Artha Abhade. Because we have begun by saying Abhaditartha Vishayaka Jnanam Prama. What is prama? Prama or valid knowledge is a cognition which does not have a content, which is sublated at a later date, or in other words, which has for its content an object which is unsublated at a later date. So that is why he emphasizes that point. Saeva artha abhade pratyaksha prama. If whatever you perceive, suppose you hear the music of M.S. Subbulakshmi and you say Sudha Raghunathan sings, then it is not pratyaksha prama. You see? So artha abhade pratyaksha prama. Tat karanam shrotradi panchakam pratyaksha pramanam ityartaha. So all the sense organs will be termed pratyaksha pramana. If in some cases vishaya bhadetu, if there is bada or sublation for the content of that cognition, vishaya bhadetu aprama. So a cognition which arises from which gives rise to such an aprama or erroneous cognition, a karana which gives rise to such an erroneous cognition cannot be treated as pramana. So pramana is that which would give rise only to valid perceptual knowledge. So he says vishaya bhadetu aprama tat karanam cha apramanameva. So brahmajnanam, that which gives rise to brahmajnana, cannot be called as karana. Tat karanam cha apramanameva. So this is what he says. Sakshat karomi aham shabdam shrotrena iti vibhavyate pratyaksha pramitihi satu shrotram tat karanam matam. Now next he goes to evam pratyaksham nirupya kramapraptam anumanam. Kramapraptam means what comes next in order to pratyaksha. Pratyaksha is pratamopasthiti. Whatever in the order of pramanas, pratyaksha occupies the murdhanya sthana. It is the foremost among the pramanas. So pratyaksha has been explained. So yes. 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 Where? Yes. Yes, it would continue to be prama so long there is no sublation. But once there is sublation, we are not sure when that sublation will take place. Somebody instructs you, or you yourself come to know that it is, you yourself come to know of the true nature of that object, then there is sublation. No, what we want to say is, if there is sublatability in that cognition, we are only explaining the matter of fact. If that content of the cognition happens to be an object which would be sublated at a later date, then we have to characterize it as aprama. But it is all conditional. You see, if there is no sublation, then it would continue to be valid as far as you are concerned. See, if you mistake an elephant for a horse, nobody instructs you that it is a horse or elephant. Then you will be considering elephant as horse. So it would continue to be a correct knowledge. But once you have a sublating cognition, oh, I have mistaken this for something else. So somebody instructs you, then that knowledge happens to be aprama. So and this is as far as the vyavaharika jnana is concerned. You see, from the absolute standpoint, that is what I said. From the absolute standpoint, everything else will be sublated by the knowledge of Brahman. So then, Gatadehe mityatvena badhitatva. That is why in Vedanta Paribhasha he says, Vyavahara dashayam abadhitatvam iha lakshane vivakshitam. So what is intended to be conveyed in the definition of Prama is Vyavahara dashayam. We are very much concerned with Vyavahara during the phenomenal state of existence. We are speaking about abadhita, not from the absolute standpoint. From the absolute standpoint, we are not talking. From the absolute standpoint, for a realized soul, everything would be sublated by the cognition that they are all illusory. So from his standpoint, we are not speaking. We are only speaking about empirical cognition. Is it clear? So, evam pratyaksha. So, pratyaksha occupies the foremost place. That has been explained. Krama praptam. What comes next in order to pratyaksha is anumana. Anumiyate iti anumanam. That is, even anumana precedes, anumana requires an element of pratyaksha, because you see smoke in the mountain. Without seeing the smoke in the mountain, without having the knowledge of paksha or the subject of the inference, how do you infer the existence of something? So, anumiyate iti anumanam, pratyakshamanu, that which follows pratyaksha, that is anumana. So, kramapraptam anumanam nirupayitum tat palabhutam anumitim darsheti. In order to explain anumana, that tat palabhutam, what is the resultant cognition of anumana, that is anumiti, that is first explained now. Now, before trying to understand the verse proper, tataiva anuminomi iti jnanam yad anubhuyate vanyadikam sa anumitihi tasyaha karanamuchyate. Now, we have to do some basic work, that is preliminary understanding we have to. Now, there arises anumiti is the resultant cognition. Parvato Vanniman. Now, what are the steps that are involved? First, a person sees smoke in the mountain. Now, before proceeding to understand these steps, let me tell you, there are three components, three basic terminologies which you have to understand in the context of anumiti or anumana. What are they? There is the subject of inference. Which in Sanskrit you call as paksha. That is the place where you are going to infer the existence of something. That is the subject of inference, paksha. The second one is the object that is sought to be established, or that is sought to be proved. That is called sadhya. Now, how do you prove the existence of sadhya in a paksha? On what basis? On what grounds? That is the ground of inference. So, that is the hetu. So, in order to explain an inferential cognition, these three are very much essential. There must be a paksha or subject of inference where you prove the existence of something which is called sadhya, and on what basis do you prove that? That is the ground of inference, that is the hetu. So, now we proceed. The first step is you perceive smoke in the mountain. And what is the Parvato Vanniman? I will write the inference here. Parvato Vanniman Dhumat. Now you see these three components, that is the subject of inference is paksha. What do you want to prove in Parvata, in the mountain? You want to prove the existence of vanni or fire. On what basis? On the basis of its possessing smoke. Dhumat means because it has smoke. So this is the hetu. Dhuma is the hetu. Vanni is the sadhya. And Parvata is the paksha. Isn't it? Now what is the first step? Perception of smoke in the mountain. So, perception of smoke means what is the status of smoke? It is called hetu in the inferential cognition. And what is Parvata? Parvata is paksha. So, when you perceive smoke in the mountain, that means you have the cognition of the hetu in the paksha, isn't it? You have the cognition of dhuma in Parvata means what is the status of dhuma? It is the hetu. And Parvata is the paksha. So, cognition of dhuma in Parvata means cognition of the hetu or knowledge of the hetu in the paksha. So, pakshe hetoho jnanam. You have the knowledge of the ground of inference or the hetu in the paksha. That is the first step. You have the knowledge of smoke in the mountain. This is technically called paksha dharmata jnanam. For any kind of inference, this is the first step. That means you must have the knowledge of the hetu in the paksha, which is technically called hetoho paksha vrittitva jnanam. That is called paksha dharmata jnanam. That is the first step in any kind of inferential cognition, without which you will never arrive at the anumiti or the inferential cognition. So the first step is paksha dharmata jnanam, knowledge of smoke in the mountain or knowledge of the hetu in the paksha. If we have to tell in general terms, knowledge of the hetu in the paksha, whatever be the inferential cognition, hetoho paksha vrittitva jnanam, that is paksha dharmata jnana, that is the first step. Now what does it do? You have seen smoke. Immediately what happens is you are reminded of the invariable relation of smoke to fire. Now who will remember this invariable relation of smoke to fire? One who has already had the knowledge of this invariable relation of smoke to fire, at least seeing once or seeing several times together smoke and fire. Even if you had seen smoke and fire once, even if he is a intelligent person, then he will immediately recollect, oh, wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So immediately on seeing smoke, immediately he will recollect. Eka sambandhi jnanena apara sambandhi smarakam. Either of the two he has seen. So immediately he recollects the vyapti or the invariable relation. What is the, so there is the second step is vyapti jnana or vyapti smriti. There is the recollection of the invariable relation. What is the form of that recollection? Wherever there is smoke, wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Yatra dhumaha tatra vannihi. So this is the second step. So the first step is hetoho paksha vrittitva jnanam paksha dharmata. And what is the form of paksha dharmata? Parvataha dhumavan. The mountain is possessed of, you can say in any way you will want, dhumavan parvataha or parvataha dhumavan. Now the second step is vyapti smriti, yatra dhumaha tatra vannihi. Wherever there is smoke, now before we proceed to the rise of paramarsha, which is the generating factor of anumiti, we have to know something about this vyapti. It's very, very important. Otherwise, we cannot understand what is meant by a paramarsha. Now, in yatra dhumaha tatra vannihi, what happens is, what is the position of this dhuma and vanni first of all? We have termed this vanni as sadhya and dhuma as the hetu. Now there are two types of vyapti which the Nayayikas have admitted. One is anvaya vyapti and the second is vyatireka vyapti. Vyapti means, simply explained, vyapti means kaschana sambandha visheshaha. That is samanadikaranya sambandha. The coexistence of two factors in the single substratum. That is vyapti. Vyapti means vanni dhumayoha. Vyapti means everybody will say vanni and dhuma are related to each other through samyoga sambandha. It is not the case. Vanni and dhuma are located in one and the same place. There is samanadikaranya sambandha. Means ghata and pata, pot and cloth are present on the floor. Now the Nayayikas would say that pot is, now consider this is a pot and this is a cloth. Now, is the pot related to cloth? Strictly speaking, no. Pot is elsewhere and cloth is elsewhere. But yet, the Nayayikas conceive of a relation between these two objects. And what is that relation? They are present in one and the same substratum. So, Gata Patayoho Vaishishtyam Vartate, Gata Vishishtaha Pataha, Pata Vishishtaha Gataha. Kas Sambandhaha, Vaishishtyam Kena Sambandhena. It is through the relation of Samanadikaranya Sambandha. They are located in one and the same place. If I am standing along with a person, that person is related to me. How? Both of us are standing on the same substratum and same podium. That means there is the Samanadikaranya Sambandha. So such types of relation Nayayikas alone say. You see, although it is a Ashlila Drishtanta, yet I am just telling for the sake of understanding. Now Pratibha Patil is related to me, I can say. Why? How? Yama grahya grahakatva sambandhena. The Yama who is going to take away snatch away my life, the same Yama is going to take away her life also. This is what they say. Yama grahya grahakatva sambandhena. So such kinds of indirect relations the Nayayikas are capable of conceiving. So what I want to say is, pot and cloth, they are located in one and the same place. So there is a Samanadikaranya Sambandha. To be located in a single substratum, this is a kind of Sambandha. So that is what is the Nayayikas explain in the case of Vyapti, that is Vanni Dhumayoho Samanadikaranyam. They are present in one and the same substratum. That speaks for the invariable relation of smoke to fire. Now what happens in the case of Anvaya Vyapti? So wherever the Hetu Dhuma is present, there the Sadhya is present. So how do they define Anvaya Vyapti? I write the definition of Anvaya Vyapti here. Hetu Sadhyayoho Vyaptihi Anvaya Vyaptihi. That is, the Vyapti or the invariable relation between the Hetu and the Sadhya, that constitutes Anvaya Vyapti. That is in a positive way. Hetu Sadhyoho Vyaptihi Anvaya Vyaptihi. And what is the form of that Vyapti? Yatra Dhumaha Tatra Vannihi. Now consider this example. We will go to Vyatireka Vyapti later on. Yatra Dhumaha Tatra Vannihi. Now the term Vyapti, I said it is a kind of relation. And what is that relation called? Samanadikaranya Sambandha. Now the term Vyapti itself implies two objects, of which one is Vyapya and another is Vyapaka. Vyapya Vyapakayoho Samanadikaranya Sambandha. So the Vyapti, the term Vyapti stands for two objects, of which one will be Vyapya and another will be Vyapaka. Now what is meant by Vyapaka and what is Vyapaka? Vyapya means, in English if you want to say, it is less pervasive element. And Vyapaka is more pervasive. In Sanskrit, you say Vyapya is Alpadesha Vrittitvam, that which occupies a limited number of places. That is Vyapya. And that which occupies more number of places, that is called Vyapaka. Now, consider this example, Yatra Dhumaha Tatra Vannihi. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Now you see, as a matter of fact, in any case of Vyapti, whether it is Anvaya Vyapti or Vyatireka Vyapti, we have to utter the Vyapya Padartha first and then only Vyapaka. Isn't it? Vyapaka cannot be given first. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire, means this Dhuma is less pervasive, Vyapya, and Vanni is more pervasive. How? Smoke is present. How do you say that Dhuma is less pervasive and Vanni is more pervasive? Smoke, wherever there is smoke, smoke exists. Now, Vanni or fire exists independent of smoke in a glowing iron rod, isn't it? So, at least in that single instance, fire exists independent of smoke. So, in this sense, fire is more pervasive than dhuma or smoke. So, yatra dhumaha tatra vannihi, when you say, வேற பேனா இருக்கா? Dhuma is less pervasive means dhuma is vyapya padartha and vanni is vyapaka. Now this is very, very important. Dhuma is vyapya and vanni is vyapaka. Now closely follow me. Dhuma is vyapya means vyapya to what? I am the wife of whom? Sukumar. Sukumar is the husband of whom? Of Revati. So when you speak of vyapya and vyapaka, these two are relative terms. So when you say vyapya, vyapya means there should be one vyapaka to it. So dhumaha vyapya padarthaha. Kasya vyapakaha bhavati dhumaha, vannehe vyapyaha bhavati dhumaha. So if vanni vyapyaha dhumaha, suppose I say Sukumar is my husband, nobody will go and ask, who is your wife? It goes without saying. Vanni vyapyaha dhumaha means dhuma vyapakaha vannihi. Now from this, what do you deduce? As a matter of principle, what happens is, in any case of Anvaya Vyapti, the Hetu will be a Vyapya Padartha and the Sadhya will be Vyapaka Padartha. This you can take for surety. In any Anvaya Vyapti, you will utter the Vyapya Padartha first. Hetu Sadhyayoho Vyaptihi Anvaya Vyaptihi. So the Hetu is the Vyapya Padartha. Dhuma is the Vyapya and Vanni is the Vyapaka. So when you say Vanni is the Vyapaka, Vanni is Vyapaka to what? Dhuma Vyapakaha Vannihi, Vanni Vyapyaha Dhumaha. So let us go one step further. If Vanni Vyapya is, if Dhuma is Vanni Vyapya, you see, I always used to tell my students, closely follow me and answer my question. Vanni Vyapyaha Dhumaschet, Dhume Kim Vartate? That is. So you all have become 50% Nayayikas. So Dhuma Vyapakaha Vannischet, Vannau Kim Vartate? Dhuma Vyapakatvam Vartate. So Vanni Vyapyaha Dhumaha, Vanni Vyapyatvam Dhume. Dhuma Vyapakaha Vannihi, Dhuma Vyapakatvam Vannau Vartate. So now we want this phrase, Dhuma Vyapya, Vanni Vyapyaha Dhumaha, Dhuma Vyapakatvam Vannau. This is as far as Anvaya Vyapti is concerned. Now let us analyze Vyatireka Vyapti in this way. Now we have come to the conclusion, in the case of Anvaya Vyapti, Yatra Yatra Dhumaha Tatra Vannihi means Vanni Vyapyaha Dhumaha, Dhuma Vyapakaha Vannihi. That is what we have known from an Anvaya Vyapti. Now what is Vyatireka Vyapti? The Anvaya Vyapti, the definition of Anvaya Vyapti is Hetu Sadhyayoho Vyaptihi Anvaya Vyaptihi. You should never say Sadhya. See, what does it matter, you know, if I say there is some Vyapti, there is some relation, Sadhya Hetoho Vyapti, you should never say so. There is Pratyavaya. Nayayika, it is like killing a Nayayika. So yes, Yatra Dhumaha Tatra Vannihi. So Hetu Sadhyayoho Vyaptihi Anvaya Vyaptihi. What is Vyatireka Vyapti? Sadhyabhava Hetvabhavayoho Vyaptihi Vyatireka Vyaptihi. Sadhyabhava Hetvabhavayoho Abhavayoho Vyaptihi Vyatireka Vyaptihi. Now see the case of now here we have explained Vanni is the Sadhya and Dhuma is the Hetu. Now what is Sadhya Bhava? Vanya Bhava is Sadhya Bhava. Vannehe Abhavaha Vanya Bhavaha, that is the Sadhya Bhava. And Hetva Bhava is Dhuma Bhava. Oh, Hetva Bhava, I should write that. Dhuma Bhava is Hetva Bhava. Now, if you have to go by the definition of Vyatireka Vyapti, Vyatireka itself means Abhava. So, where you speak of the relation between two negative entities, then it is called Vyatireka Vyapti. Now, you speak of the relation, invariable relation between two negative entities, that is one is Sadhya Bhava and the other is Hetva Bhava, isn't it? So, now what is the Sadhya Bhava here? Vanya Bhava is the Sadhya Bhava and Dhuma Bhava is Hetva Bhava. Now, how will you pronounce the Vyapti? What is the form of Vyapti? Somebody tell me. Yatra yatra Vanya Bhavaha Tatra Dhuma Bhavaha. Now, we also have to see whether it satisfies our important criterion. What is that criterion? In any Vyapti, what should be uttered first? Vyapya Padartha should be uttered first. That is what we explained in Hetu Sadhyoho Vyapti. Hetu is Vyapya and Sadhya is Vyapaka. So also, in Vyatireka Vyapti, we should explain that the Vanya Bhava is Vyapya and Dhuma Bhava is Vyapaka, isn't it? Which means it occupies less number of places and Dhuma Bhava is more pervasive. You see, Yatra Yatra Vanya Bhava means wherever there is no fire, there will be Vanya Bhava. Where there is no fire, what will be present? Vanya Bhava will be present. Where there is no fire, Vanya Bhava will be present. So, where there is no Dhuma, that is in a glowing iron rod. In a glowing iron rod, there is no Dhuma, but there is fire itself. Now, wherever there is no fire, there Vanya Bhava is present. And wherever there is absence of fire, there is absence of smoke also. Is it clear? But there is a place where there is absence of smoke, independent of absence of fire. In a glowing iron rod, there is no fire, but there is absence of smoke. Is it clear? So, there is a place where absence of smoke exists independent of absence of fire. So, absence of smoke occupies more number of places than absence of fire. Are you able to catch me? If you don't understand, tell me, I will once again repeat. தமிழ்ல சொல்லுவா உங்களுக்கு வன்னி இல்லாத இடத்துல எல்லாம் என்ன இருக்கும்? வன்னிய அபாவம் இருக்கும். அப்ப வன்னியபாவம் வன்னி இல்லாத இடத்துல தான் இருக்கும். அப்புறம் எந்த இடத்துல அந்த வன்னியபாவம் இருக்கிற இடத்துல எல்லாம் தூமாபாவம் இருக்க போறது. அப்புறம் தூமாபாவம் இது தாண்டி ஒரு இடத்துல இருக்கு, வன்னி இருக்கிற இடத்துலயும் தூமாபாவம் இருக்க போறது. அதாவது இண்டிபெண்டா வன்னியபாவம் இல்லாமலேயே தூமாபாவம் தனிச்சு ஒரு இடத்துல இருக்க போறது. எங்கெங்கெல்லாம் வன்னியபாவம் இருக்கோ அங்கெங்கெல்லாம் தூமாபாவம் இருக்க போறது. தட் இஸ் ஒன் பாயிண்ட். Where there is fire itself, that is in a glowing iron rod, there also Dhuma Bhava exists. So independent of absence of fire, Dhuma Bhava exists at least in a single instance, which means it is more pervasive. So it is Vyapaka. And this is Vyapya. Now we have to tell the same story. Dhuma Vyapakaha Vannihi, we said. Dhuma Vyapakaha Vannina Hetu Vyapakaha Sadhyaha Sadhya Vyapyaha Hetu. Adhe madri in the same way, see, if Vanya Bhava is Dhuma Bhava is Vyapaka and Vanya Bhava is Vyapya. Vanya Bhava is Vyapya to what? To Dhuma Bhava. So Dhuma Bhava Vyapyaha Vanya Bhavaha. Vanya Bhava Vyapakaha Dhuma Bhavaha. If you want to explain it in general terms, Vanya Bhava is Sadhya Bhava. Sadhya Bhava Vyapakaha Hetva Bhavaha. Hetva Bhava Vyapyaha Sadhya Bhavaha. This we must become very much conversant, otherwise we cannot understand the Paramarsha Akara, the form of Paramarsha, we cannot at all understand. So, in Anvaya Vyapti as well as Vyatireka Vyapti, you must do the homework like this. You must get conversant with Hetu Vyapakaha Sadhyaha, Sadhya Vyapyaha Hetuhu. Hetu Vyapakatvam Sadhye, Sadhya Vyapyatvam Hetau. In the same way, Sadhya Bhava Vyapakaha Hetva Bhavaha, Hetva Bhava Vyapyaha Sadhya Bhavaha. Sadhya Bhava Vyapakatvam Hetva Bhave, Hetva Bhava Vyapyatvam Sadhya Bhave. This exercise you have to become conversant. Now sir was telling about Simhavalokana Nyaya. Now we have taken a digression, returning from the digression to the main point of discussion, because we have taken a deviation in Vyapti Jnana. All these are only accessories to the understanding of Anumiti. We are in the loop line now. Now we have to follow the main line, isn't it? Now we will go back to the second step, Vyapti Smriti. That is where we have taken a deviation, isn't it? You want me to go further, or you want me to explain the whole process once again? If anybody doesn't understand any of this, kindly tell me, I will repeat it once again. What, Swamiji? You don't say anything. Am I going fast, or if you want me to explain once again, I will do. Please. Oh, don't ask me such a question. That smoke would have been produced from fire. You are just putting it in Kerala, especially. I think they will put smoke in there, this thing to get this, what is that called, tender coconut or something like that, that you should, even that smoke would have come from fire only, Yeah, so whatever it be, without fire, no, smoke can never occur without fire. Now in our kitchen. See, at the time when Nayayikas wrote all these things, they never thought, because they have proved Suvarnam Taijasam. Somebody in my class, they asked, it can be vaporized now. How can you say that Suvarna, it keeps on boiling? No, you cannot say so. Atyanta Anala Samyogepi Anuchidyamana Janyadravatvam. You say so, but now Suvarna can be vaporized. Then my only answer is, at the time when Nayayikas, they didn't test all this. No, they didn't do all these experiments. So whatever was available to them, they wrote all this. Sir, you wanted something? Somebody from back wanted something. Where from you want me to repeat? You tell me. Yes. Please. I will repeat, sir. Please. This is, you see, one second. This is the mental exercise. We have to repeat it once again. Oh, please. No, I don't catch you. Oh, what have I been doing all this time? Okay, okay. Oh, no, 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 no. You see, no, no, let me tell you one thing. I do understand your difficulty, but then as sir was also telling, sometimes what happens, if you make it too much Englishized, then you don't feel the fervor of it, what the Nayayikas want to say. Sadhya Bhava means the absence of Sadhya, the absence of the Hetu, that will complicate your understanding. See, instead you can, as it is, understand. Try, although it appears to be difficult initially, if you if you can try to understand as it is from Sanskrit, that is what I always used to tell my students. They will say, you tell everything in English. No, later on they will say, we will write only in Sanskrit. That is very easier for us, instead of making it too much English. Initially it would appear, I do agree with you, because in the first class itself nobody understands. If they understand, then shastrasya shastratvam itself is gone. That means it is not like hearing an ordinary lecture. It is a shastra. So it is very difficult for you to understand. That is why kshanadurdam atarkikaha, you have to be very alert. You cannot even recline on your chair. You have to sit in the edge of your chair when you are listening to Nyaya. You see, I am also very alert. I cannot sit on the chair and explain you. I am also very much aware, because a moment if I forget, I will say Duma is Vyapaka and Vanni is Vyapya. I am also very alert. It's not that, no, I cannot also take you for granted. So even if I explain you correctly, it's very difficult to understand. If I explain you in a wrong manner, no, 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 it's not like that. Please don't understand it like that. Once again, I will say, I cannot say so. I must be very clear in saying. So please try to understand. If you want me to explain once again, I will go through once again, no problem. I will repeat the entire process once again, no problem at all. But this is my earnest request. Kindly try to understand it in Sanskrit, because that will give you enjoyment also. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I will tell in a very slow. So where from you want me to start, sir? Sir, sir, யார் நீங்களா? ஓ, நீங்களா? பயமா இருக்கு. பீத்த பீத்த பிரணம்யா. என்ன சார்? I am honored by his presence, sir's presence. Sir? Huh? Huh? Hmm. இல்ல, how do you understand pervasiveness and subtlety? ஆமா. Pervasive, this vyapyatvam and vyapakatvam are relative terms. Don't think vyapakatvam means everywhere it is present. Relative vyapya vyapaka bhava. Duma occupies less number of places and Vanni occupies more number of places than Duma. சார், நீங்க நினைக்கிற மாதிரி அந்த மாதிரி பர்வேசிவ் நினைக்காதீங்க சார். அப்படி இல்ல. இல்ல இல்ல, நீங்க தூமத்தை எடுத்து விட்டானா எல்லா இடத்துலயும் பரவுறது, வன்னி ஒரே இடத்துல இருக்கு. அப்படி இல்ல. இட்ஸ் நாட். It's a very good question. I should really thank you. So far, nobody has asked me such a question. Oh, this kind of question has never occurred to me so far. I should really thank you for putting such a question. But unfortunately, you have to understand it in a different way. You see, when we... No, 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 not at all, sir. See, I am enlightened. I am delighted to answer your question. It's not the... See, that is why I told Sri Lakshmi also, any question you can ask. No question can be treated as absurd or silly or basic question. It is not the case. As long as it impedes your understanding, you are free to ask. If I know the answer, I will say, that's all. You see, you have to understand. Did you all catch what he says?
Yes. It depends on the parameter used to give pervasiveness.
Yes.
What you're using is the number of incidents.
Yes.
Not the physical space.
Yes. Bhuyasu adhikaraneshu. What are the places it occupies? Adu solrom number. Priyada, actually, Parvez, I'm able to understand what you say. But here we are speaking of the number of places which fire occupies and smoke occupies. So I think that will answer your question. Yeah. Pardon? No, less pervasive means it is a relative term, isn't it? Less pervasive and more pervasive. Pervasive means, you see, this object does not pervade the entire substratum. Suppose I place another cloth on this table. Don't you think that that cloth pervades more number of places than this object, which is a limited entity? In that sense, we are using. See, number of places which smoke and fire occupies, that is the matter of concern here. Okay.
Logical formation is different from spatial formation.
Yes. 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 So what else? So where from you want me to start, sir? Somebody wanted me. If you could say which point of explanation you want me to repeat once again, I would be happy to do. Yes. Sir, Vyatireka Vyapti, is it okay? You want me to begin from Anvaya Vyapti? Yeah. Now we are in the second step. We will begin. That is, first there is Paksha Dharmata Jnana, knowledge of smoke in the mountain, which is technically called Paksha Dharmata Jnana. Immediately after this, you recollect the invariable relation of smoke to fire. Now, before we go to Paramarshatmaka Jnana, which we are going to explain as Vannivyapya Dhumavan Ayam Parvataha, that statement you cannot understand unless you understand what is meant by Vyapti. That is why we take a digression at this juncture. That is Vyapti Jnana. In the second stage, we take a deviation to explain and get to know what is meant by Vyapti Jnana. We work out all details regarding this Vyapti Jnana and then come back here. Is it okay? Now we are doing that exercise. Vyapti Smriti, you recollect the invariable relation of smoke to fire. Now, what is the type of Vyapti you will recollect? Whether it is Anvaya Vyapti or Vyatireka Vyapti, anything you can remember, recollect. Now, what are the two types of Vyapti? That Yatra Dhumaha means where there is smoke. Yatra Dhumaha, wherever there is smoke, what exists? Tatra Vaknihi. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So this is the form of Anvaya Vyapti. How do the Nayayikas define Anvaya Vyapti? Where there is Vyapti or invariable relation between the Hetu or the ground of inference and the Sadhya. Hetu Sadhyayoho Vyaptihi Anvaya Vyaptihi. Whenever we speak of the invariable relation of two positive entities, that is called Anvaya Vyapti. And in such a Vyapti, what is uttered first is the Hetu is uttered first and then the Sadhya. Why? Why do you utter the Hetu first and then the Sadhya? Because Hetu is less pervasive or Vyapya and the Sadhya is more pervasive. This is a general rule. I use the word this is a general rule because There are two types of Vyapti, Vishama Vyapti and Sama Vyapti, of which I am not going to say anything now. We are more concerned about the Vishama Vyapti. Now, it cannot be the reverse of it. Yatra yatra vannihi, tatra dhumaha, you cannot say. Why? Yatra vannihi, in a glowing iron rod, there is no smoke. So, the reverse is not true. That is why you say, yatra yatra dhumaha, tatra vannihi. So, this is a correct Vyapti. So, wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Now, if you analyze this statement, or if you analyze this kind of Vyapti Jnana, the form of Vyapti, you will come to know that the smoke is, in Sanskrit you call it as Vyapya, which is less pervasive. And fire is Vyapaka, that is more pervasive. I also gave the equivalent terms for this. What is meant by Vyapya means less pervasive. For that, the Sanskrit expression I gave, Alpadesha Vritti or Nyuna Desha Vritti, that which exists in a less number of places. And Vyapaka or more pervasive means that which occupies relatively more number of places. So that is Vyapaka. Now here, I want you to understand the relation between these two, that is Vyapya and Vyapaka. If you call this Dhuma or Hetu, side by side you have to have the general terminology also, because if you only know generally, you can apply it in any kind of Vyapti. Suppose I teach you only Hetu, Dhuma Vyapaka Vannihi means every time I cannot be telling about Dhuma Vyapaka Vanni alone. We are going to see any number of examples. Parvat Prithvi Itirebhyo Vidyate Gandhavatvat, Gataha Abhideha Prameta. There are many examples. Anve Kevala Anvayi, Kevala Vetriki. So you have to always understand it in general terms. Then only you can, it is like a formula. Is it okay? So Hetu, now Dhuma is the Hetu and Vanni or fire is the Sadhya. Is it okay, sir, for you? So Dhuma, which is the Hetu, it is the ground of inference, and this is the one that is sought to be established. Now, what have we given the name for this Dhuma or the Hetu? It is the Vyapya or less pervasive element, whereas this Sadhya is Vyapaka or more pervasive element. Now, whenever we speak of Vyapaka means, immediately the question would be Vyapaka to what? And Vyapya means Vyapya to what? We have to supply the answer for it. So, if Dhuma is the Vyapya Padartha, it is Vyapya to what? To Vanni. So, you get the statement Vanni Vyapyaha Dhumaha. Now, this is a specific instance. Can any one of you say it in general instance? What is the status of Vanni? What is the status of Dhuma? So, how will you explain this statement in general terms? Very good. Sadhya Vyapyaha Hetuhu. Now, this is a very, very important statement because you are going to transplant this in Paramarsha. Sadhya Vyapya Hetumanayam Pakshaka. This is Paramarsha is nothing but you have already studied Paramarsha because Sadhya Vyapya Hetuhu and there Parvato Dhumavan. So, Sadhya Vyapya Hetuman Ayam Pakshaha. This Paramarsha is only a combination of Vyapti Jnana and Paksha Dharmata Jnana. So, it's just we have already done the spade work. We are just going to combine them. there are in ICF coach factory, you have produced many compartments. Those compartments are going to be put into a big train. Lambayamanam vakyam. So vanni vyapyaha dhumaha means the general term is sadhya vyapyaha hetuhu. Now one thing more I want you to understand is vanni vyapyaha dhumaha means what is present in dhuma is vanni vyapyatvam. That is, dhuma is vyapya to vanni means vanni vyapyatvam kutra vartate? Dhume vartate. Likewise, sadhya vyapyatvam hetau vartate. So this is as far as now sadhya vyapyaha hetuhu. Now if you tell it in a reverse way, if sadhya vyapyaha hetu means what is the position of sadhya? This is vyapya, isn't it? What is the position of sadhya? It is vyapaka. Vyapaka to what? So now you tell me, any one of you tell me both in the specific instance as well as general instance. Huh? Very good. Hetu vyapakaha sadhyaha. And then in specific instance, is it all right, sir? Dhuma vyapakaha vannihi. So this is as far as Anvaya Vyapti is concerned. Now we do the same exercise in Vyatireka Vyapti. I will rub this. What is the form of Vyatireka Vyapti? What is the definition of Vyatireka Vyapti? Anvaya Vyapti is Hetu Sadhyayoho Vyaptihi. Vyatireka Vyapti is the reverse of it. You cannot say Hetvabhava Sadhyabhavayoho. What is it? Hetvabhavayoho Vyaptihi Vyatireka Vyapti. So in Vyatireka Vyapti, Sadhya Bhava should be uttered first and then the Hetva Bhava. Now in the present context, what is Sadhya Bhava? Vanya Bhava is Sadhya Bhava. So yatra yatra Vanya Bhavaha means where there is absence of fire. Sir, for your sake, where there is absence of fire, what would exist? There is absence of smoke. Tatra dhuma bhavaha. Now, which is vyapya in the present vyapti, the present instance? Vanya bhava is vyapya because sadhya bhava is uttered first, isn't it? This is sadhya bhava. Sadhya bhava. This is hetva bhava. Hetoho abhavaha hetva bhavaha. Should not say hetva bhava. Sadhya bhava and hetva bhava. So sadhya bhava is, now let me rub out this. I will write Vanya bhava, Vahnya bhava and Dhuma bhava. So somebody tell me, Vanya bhava is what? Vyapya. And Dhuma bhava is? Why is Vanya bhava vyapya? Why do we utter Vanya bhava first? Because in any vyapti, vyapya padartha should be uttered first. So Vanya bhava, yatra Vanya bhavaha, tatra Dhuma bhavaha. This is the Vyatireka vyapti because we are speaking about the absence of two entities in this vyapti. So Vanyabhava, yatra Vanyabhavaha, tatra Dhumabhavaha. Now, somebody tell me the what is Vyapya to what and what is Vyapaka to what? Huh? Please tell. Huh? No, we are speaking about Vanyabhava and Dhumabhava. So, Vanyabhava, you should speak about Vanyabhava and Dhumabhava. Vanyabhava is Vyapya and Dhumabhava is Vyapaka. Now, you have to explain this kind of relation which we earlier explained. Vanyabhava is Vyapya to what? To Dhumabhava. Isn't it? So, Vanyabhava, Vanyabhava, Vyapakaha kaha, Dhumabhavaha. Dhumabhava Vyapyaha kaha, Vanyabhavaha. So, Vanyabhava Vyapakaha, Dhumabhavaha. How do you tell this in general terms? How do you express this in general terms? Sadhya Bhava? Madam, you should not say. You should say in a general term. Sadhya Bhava Vyapakaha Hetva Bhavaha. Now we have explained about Vanya Bhava Vyapakaha, Dhuma Bhavaha, Sadhya Bhava Vyapakaha, Hetva Bhavaha. What is the other next step? I am not able to hear. Somebody is telling. Tell me. What is the specific instance? Correct. Dhuma Bhava Vyapyaha Vanya Bhavaha. And in general instance? Hetva Bhava Vyapyaha Sadhya Bhavaha. So, Hetva Bhava Vyapyaha Sadhya Bhavaha. So, I think it is time, it is 7:45. I think I have given overdosage of Nyaya today. So, I would like to leave you 15 minutes earlier because I can go on for even hours together. But I don't want to give overdosage so that I won't find anybody in this class tomorrow. All will be in your room. I have to knock at your door. Please come to my class. I don't want to do that. So, I will leave you at this stage. That is, you kindly go through do Chintana and please be thinking about this Dhuma and Vanni. Okay. We are going to the Mahanasa also soon after this. So please be thinking about this Dhuma and Vanni. Get conversant with these terminologies. Then we will proceed with Paramarsha tomorrow freshly. Is it okay? Yes. That is what in the Prachina Nyayikas, they give Vrishti big. You are sitting in the Gaganam Meghavat Ganagarjitatvat, they say. You infer the existence of clouds. Why? Because of the thunder. You are sitting here, you do not know, you are not able to perceive it's raining outside, but you say Gaganam Meghavat. The sky is possessed of clouds. Why? Dhanagarjitatvat, because I am able to hear the thunder. There are many examples, but the usual example, as I told you, why Gata and Pata and Shukti Rajata and Raju Sarpa means, that is the oft quoted example, that is all. It's a stock example, Parvato Vanniman Dhumat. Even the Western logicians use that alone. You see, mountain is fiery. I don't know why people are very much. And you see, there is one important point. According to the Nyaya school, there is no mountain which is devoid of fire. All mountains are possessed of Vanyabhava Vishishta Parvatasya Aprasiddhatvat. There is no mountain which has no fire at all. Vanyabhava Vishishta, because Parvato Vanniman Dhumat, when they explain Bada dosha, Hradaha Vanniman iti buddhim prati Hradaha Vanyabhavan iti Bada Jnanam Pratibandhakam, they say. Somebody puts the question, now if I have the knowledge, Parvato Vanniman iti buddhim prati Parvato Vanyabhavan iti Jnanam iti yadi utpadyate chet, then will there not be Anumiti? No, I will never allow you to think so, because Vanyabhava Vishishta Parvata Seva Aprasiddhatvat, he said. All mountains are possessed of fire. So, anywhere if you are here on seeing smoke, you can infer the existence of fire. All Parvatas are associated with fire. And there is one important question. Somebody put me the question, one Western logician. He asked me one question. It's a very pertinent question because we have got still 10 more minutes. I just want you to, I want to engage you with this. You see, what do you infer in the mountain? You infer only the existence of fire. But what is the form of Anumiti? It is Parvato Vanniman. So, Parvata you are able to perceive. This is what they are. Advaitins also criticize the Nayayikas. Parvatam Pashyami Vannim Anuminomi iti Anuvyavasaya Apattehe. You are perceiving the mountain. So, there is no question of inferring the mountain. But in the inferential cognition, what finds place is Parvata too. What you infer is only fire, not the mountain. But what is the form of inferential cognition? Parvato Vanniman. So he just asked me the question when I was too young. I did not have any insight also. He just asked me, how is it that the inferential cognition is of the form Parvato Vanniman? That means the logicians admit Parvata also being inferred. Otherwise, no, the inferential cognition should have been of the form Vanniman only. No? Unknowingly, no, whatever came to my mind, I just answered. And that, they said it's okay, it's a correct answer only. No? Unknowingly, I just told them, you see, the inferential cognition is Parvato Vanniman. What I see is the Parvata not as associated with fire. If I see the fire element also, then there is no possibility of inferential cognition, isn't it? So, what I perceive is Kevala Parvata. Now, what I infer is Vanni Vishishta Parvata. So, in the inferential cognition, so what becomes or what comes within the range of my perception is Kevala Parvata. I do not see Parvata as associated with fire. So, Parvata comes within the range of perception, no doubt, but not as associated with fire. So, Kevala Parvatam Pratyaksha Vishayaha, but Vanni Vishishta Parvata is Anumiti Vishaya. This is what I told. I do not know. Sir has to tell me whether it is correct or till now I do not know whether it is correct or not. This is just a conjecture. I guessed and I verified it with them. Oh, it is correct only, they said. I did not go into the details, but such kinds of, but Nayayikas, the Advaitins criticize the Nayayikas. As far as the mountain element is concerned, there is the sense of the mind going out through the sense organ, assuming modification in the form of Parvata, Parvatavachinna, Chaitanya, Tadvritya Vachichinna, all these take place. So there is Parvata Visheka Pratyaksha. So the Anuvyavasaya or the Sakshi Pratiti also will be of the form Parvatam Pashyami Vannim Anuminomi. According to the Nayayikas, Parvatam Anuminomi iti Anuvyavasaya Apattehe. This is what the Advaitins criticize the Nayayikas, because according to them the inferential cognition takes the form Parvato Vanniman. So the Advaitins make a clear distinction between what becomes perceptual, what becomes immediate what becomes the content of immediate perceptual knowledge, and what is mediate, what becomes the content of mediate knowledge. Is it clear? And why they put such a question is, the Advaitins put such a question. in one and the same cognition, that is in Parvato Vaniman is one complex cognition. It's a single unit. In one single unit, there are two elements. One, as far as the Parvata element is concerned, there is Aparokshatva. As far as the one element, that is fire element is concerned, there is Parokshatva. So the Nayayika Vasana, the Nayayikas, no, they are forced to ask a question wherever there are two mutually opposing characteristics occupying a single substratum, then both cannot be treated as jati. The Nayayikas are very much worried in one and the same cognition and another Aparokshatva. So as a result, Parokshatva and Aparokshatva both cannot be treated as jati or universal, because they have the vasana, Murtatva, Bhutatva. These two are not jatis. Why? Actually opposing features. Prithvi, Up, Tejas, Vayu, Akasha. In all these five, there is Bhutatva. Prithvi, Up, Tejas, Vayu and Manas, there is Murtatva. Now, Bhutatvam Akashe Vartate. Akasha does not possess Murtatva, only Bhutatva. Bhutatvam Vihaya Murtatvam Manasi Vartate. So they are mutually opposed entities, character features. Ubayoho Militva, Bhutatva Murtatvayoho, both of them are present in Prithvi, Up, Tejas and Vayu. So this is a kind of defect, Jati Badaka. The Nayayikas have enlisted Paraspara Viruddhayoho Dharmayoho Ekatra Samaveshe Tayoho Jatitvam na Siddhyati. If two happen to coexist in a single substratum, then both cannot be treated as universals. So ultimately, Bhutatva also is not a jati and Murtatva also is not a jati. This is what they have concluded. Now, having this at the back of their mind, they put the question to the Advaitins. Parokshatva and Aparokshatva, both these elements are present in one and the same cognition, Parvato Vanniman, where in the element of Parvata, there is Aparokshatva. The element of fire, there is Parokshatva, mediacy. So mediacy and immediacy are opposed. Now, if both of them are present in one and the same cognition, then both cannot be treated as jati. So here, see, the Prashna is very gambira. The Nayayikas are very happy to put such a question. The Advaitins, no, they don't treat this as a question at all, because jati we do not at all admit, sir. Why do you want to put such a question? We do not at all admit. Who is bothered about your jati, whether it is Parokshatva, Aparokshatva, Jatitva, Upaditva, Paribhashayam, Sakala Pramana, Agocharataya, Anangikarat. Do away with jati, because if for the purpose of your question, if I admit jati, immediately you will step into my house and you will ask me to admit the definition of jati, Nityatve Sati Aneka Samavetatvam. That will be against the spirit of my Advaita, because I have to admit one more eternal entity. Please get out, Mr. Nayayika. Don't compel me to admit jati. This is what. So the Prashna was very gambira. Prashnastu ati gambira, uttarastu palgu. It does not at all matter for the Advaiti. No. We are not worried about this jati. So far he was hearing patiently. But what is the answer? We don't admit jati at all. Of course, Parvato Vanniman, we will explain it in a different way. But jati we do not admit. So why do we bother about whether Parokshatva, that question arise at all? Only if we have to admit jati. So that is why I told any system can be understood. If we merely say that Advaitins do not admit jati, means there won't be any charm in it. When the Nayayikas come to fight against the Advaita, you have to admit, no, we will not admit. So in this context, you can understand the Advaitins in a better way. So that is why there has been a thesis and antithesis, action and reaction between two systems. Only then one particular system you can enhance, it will enhance the value of that particular system. Likewise, even in the Nyaya school, no, they criticize Nityatmavada in Muktavali. There the Nayayikas have got an upper hand. You see, Niranjanaha Paramam Samyam Upaiti. the Nayayikas will interpret in his own way. He doesn't go according to the Shruti text because it is his text. So he will have an upper hand, isn't it? So bell, we have heard the bell. So we'll do the Shanti part. Om Namadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.